Hey guys, Huzzy bringing you another video. Now welcome to episode 4 of the Climb to Master series. So hopefully you've been enjoying it so far. Again, we're going to continue with the format that I've been doing recently, that I'm live right now in Champion Select. I'll be live in the loading screen and then live after the game. But the actual commentary will be coming from myself probably tomorrow or the day after, actually doing a post-game commentary with the footage. I'm just finding it a little bit more comfortable, especially that my eyes aren't fully kind of focused yet with the laser eye surgery. But I think episode 5, or technically episode 6, will be back to live commentaries in this series. Some people have said they wouldn't mind me doing this for the whole series, but live is my thing. So we will probably go back to live, and I'm sure many people will be happy about that. Today, though, we have been given the mid lane after last episode, which was Renekton. It was top, which we actually got auto-filled into, which, I would recommend everybody being prepared for every situation. Have at least one champion, at least one, that you know how to play in every single role, just in case. Because if, say, last game I wasn't prepared for top lane, I wouldn't have been able to do that. What do I want to ban, though, is actually a good question. Part of me wants to get rid of Shaco because I just find him annoying. Yeah, let's get rid of Shaco. Again, I tend to try to... what I'm about to say is slightly controversial, but there are certain champions in League or certain one-trick ponies in League that I find that some people are being one-trick, so like a Z player, but I will always find a Z one-trick pony will still be able to play a couple other things. There are certain champions in League that I think one-trick ponies of certain champs, they don't play anything else. And I actually think Shaco is a big one of that. Again, I don't want to offend anybody, that's not my point. It's just something that I've always recognized, is that if they're a Shaco one-trick, they don't play anything else other than Shaco. So he's a pretty good ban. Picks and bans, though, is going to happen. So I don't know. It was banning, not picking. Well, that kind of sucks for you, my friend. I'm not really sure who I'm going to pick for mid lane. Again, just to kind of remind you, my mid lane champion pool is Karthus, Lux, Ziggs, and I actually do have Zed in there. But I probably won't play him in the beginning. I want a little bit more practice there. So Ziggs, Lux, if I don't know who I'm against. If I know I'm against, then and I might go Karthus. We'll have a good think about it. Obviously, looking at the Jack straight away, that is a late game champion. So sometimes you do want to match late game with late game, and that's where Karthus can come in because he's arguably the strongest champion in the late game in League. And for those that are a bit like, what? The thing with Karthus is that when you get to late game with nearly 1,000 AP and your ultimate is doing a lot of damage, your ultimate isn't just a single target damage. You're hitting all 5 people with that amount of damage. Oh boy, Syndra. Oh, that might be hard. So we'll see. Actually, again, I do look at win rates. It's a part of a weakness of mine, I guess. But we'll see what champions of my champion pool do and deal with her the best. Karthus actually has a 56% win rate against Syndra. Ziggs also has a high percentage win rate. So both of my two mains in the mid lane, so Karthus and Ziggs, tend to do well versus her. I think I'm going to go for the Karthus, however, because he is one of my signature picks, and I even used him a bit last season. We'll go AP with MR, because, again, I'm against crazy damage, press 1 button champion. Even, like, again, some people say Karthus is a press 1 button champion. He's not, but Syndra, she is a little bit. Again, that's not a dig at Syndra. It's literally the fact that she can one-shot people by just pressing R. So yeah, we're gonna go Karthus with Exhaust with MR in our runes, and he's a pick of mine that everybody knows. Everybody knows I play Karthus. I used to be, well, in season 6 I think I was in the top 500 of Karthus in the world for the whole season. And for those that I noticed a couple episodes ago that I was like, you had the 18th best Caitlyn, or it might have been in the A to Z series. Don't take of like the best world rankings that seriously at the beginning of the season. Because if I just played 10 Karthus games in my first 10 placement games, I'd probably be in the top 10 Karthuses in the world. Let the world rankings mean more in a few months' time when everybody has had chance to play a lot of games. So yeah, that's what I'd recommend. Let me just quickly check my masteries. It's all good and dandy. Yep, that's completely fine. Awesome. Our team comp versus their team comp. I prefer ours. I'll be completely honest. Ours obviously does have some holes to it. We don't have a lot of CC. But if you compare the damage and their damage, we have a Vayne, they have a Varus. If I can survive the mid lane versus Syndra, she's a one-shot on one champion. I could carry it like as a whole. So I actually like our chances. Poppy, again, like I mentioned, Poppies are supposed to just go level in lane, not win lane. And if she does that, that's also great. So anyway, without much further ado, let's get into the loading screen where we break down today's game. Okay, welcome to the loading screen. This is where I use the website lolskill.net, and as you can see, the enemy team has a 52.8% chance to win. Let me remind you though that don't take that perfectly serious, because like I'm the only one in this game actually that hasn't got a rating yet, and obviously that will kind of make the win differences the most. But if you look, the Soraka on the enemy team is Platinum 1, a Platinum 2 Evelyn. Again, my eyes are a little bit dodgy still. A Platinum 2 Varus, Platinum 3 Syndra with Teleport, and a Platinum 5 Jack. So my team, a Platinum 1 Master Yi, has never played the champion yet. Myself as a unranked Karthus as of right now. A Platinum 1 Thresh, looks to be good at Thresh. A Diamond 5 Vayne, so already back in Diamond. And a Platinum 2 Poppy. So yeah, it's a fairly high rating game. Again, let me remind you that if you're a Diamond, Master or Challenger player, the highest rating you can get after placements is Platinum 1. So most of these players probably have just completed their placements. And obviously, well, the Diamond 5 Vayne has obviously already played quite a bit to get back to Diamond. So without much further ado, let's get into the game where we are playing a Karthus mid. Hey guys, Huzzy here, bringing you the commentary part to the Karthus episode 4 of the Climb to Master series. So let me just remind you, this part is done after I actually played the game. I played this game a couple days ago, and we're against Syndra. So Syndra is in a little bit of a controversial spot right now. I like the champion. She's currently not in my champion pool because I don't put champions in my pool that I think are just going to get banned 95% of the time. The problem is it's always good to know how to play these OP picks just in case they're not banned. So I do know how to play Syndra, and obviously this person who's playing Syndra is fairly confident in the champion, otherwise why would you pick it? But I will say, she is in a little bit of a spot that's like, all you got to do is press one button and you'll probably be okay as a Syndra. Even if you press more buttons than the one R button, you're even better. And again, what I'm saying here isn't out of salt, it's just a fact. If you've been watching All Stars recently, there was a thing on Reddit the other day that was like, this AD carry literally got one shot by just pressing R. The Syndra missed her Q, pressed the R button, and the AD carry was dead. So maybe she is in a bit of a strong spot right now, but that does not mean she is unbeatable. Karthus is pretty good versus Syndra. The reason for it is Karthus is a natural exhaust taker. You take exhaust on Karthus, you actually did it years ago. Exhaust is kind of a new thing for mid laners to do, only the past season or so. But Karthus did it 3 seasons ago because he wants to keep people within his circle and he's susceptible to getting bursted. So going exhaust on Karthus is perfectly fine, and obviously versus the Syndra, it's always good because you exhaust her before the burst comes down, and that will help a lot. Now the enemy team comp, they do have some strengths to them. They've got a Jax, a hyper carry in top lane. They've got an Evelyn, a stealth jungler. They've got a Syndra in mid lane, arguably the strongest mid laner. And then I think their bot lane is actually okay as well. It's a little bit unconventional. I think it's a Varus, but I have seen more Varuses. His strength is starting to build. But let's just talk about Karthus for a second. So the death or Pentakill singer himself. So what are you aiming to do as a Karthus? Just to kind of get it out there. Well, you are a hyper carry, and I know a lot of people are going to go, is he? Yeah, Karthus is a massive hyper carry that scales into the late game. Now, the reason why people don't necessarily think he's a hyper carry, because he's not going to one-shot people. He's not going to just suddenly kill an AD carry. But when you think about what a hyper carry is somebody that will put his team or her team on their back. Anyway, just quickly here, little engage is going on. I'm going to go aggressive onto the Syndra because a lot of people get surprised by the damage. Unfortunately, Evelyn shows up at a perfect time for her, and Syndra flashes away, and I'm probably going to go down. I didn't blow my flash. Some people say, why didn't I flash there? I think I was dead anyway, and I don't like blowing summoner spells for the sake of it, so it's just unfortunate that I got, let's say, baited into that because it definitely forced me to die. Yi, although, he's going to try and pick up the Syndra himself. Going to go for one hit under the tower. Gets hit by 2 tower shots. And then on Evelyn is still around. So Evelyn now has picked herself up some 2 kills from that initial gank. And also Poppy just got tower dove at level 4. So that's also a bit worrying. But going back to why Karthus is a hyper carry, is the fact that, yeah, you won't one-shot somebody. You can see that damage output wasn't bad in the 1v1. It's the fact that your ultimate is everything with this champion, I guess, much like Syndra. But instead of just one-shotting one person, the idea is in late game, when you have a lot of AP, your ultimate on average might do 800 damage. It might do more, but let's say 800 damage. But it's not doing 800 damage to one person, it's doing 800 damage to everybody, to all 5 targets. There is no other champion in the league that does that as well. Like, are not 100% hitting them. Like a Ziggs or an Orianna has the potential to do that if they all clump up, but Karthus hits them from anywhere, and then on top of that, if he's in the middle of a team fight, he's doing a lot of damage with his Defile, with his E. He's slowing people, always doing damage, and with the Zhonya's, when you combine Zhonya's with his E, you're constantly doing damage when you're just in the middle of a team fight. So that's what gives Karthus his hyper carry potential. So that early game, or that early death by me, really annoying. Again, it's an Evelynn. She's hard to deal with. The best way to deal with Evelynn, let me just remind you guys, is warding her buffs and things in the jungle. Now, if you can see on the minimap, Master Yi is invading for some reason. And unfortunately, well, he gets caught. He's about to get caught right now by fighting. And I'm like, I'm gonna, never mind. Like, there's just no point to go over there at this point. He's 100% dead. And what I'd say is it's not very worth invading when you don't know where the enemy jungler is. The whole point of invading is either you're confident to kill them in a 1v1 and you're not going to get killed for that, or you know where the enemy jungler is, therefore you can steal stuff without much risk. He didn't know where Evelynn was at the time, and the Syndra was definitely going to be able to come over and help. So it was just a bad idea overall to go for that. And unfortunately, it did give Syndra a kill, which is a little bit lame. So right now the Syndra is sitting at, I think, 101, which yeah, again, this lane is winnable as a Karthus, but when you're playing Karthus, it's not more about I'm going to win this lane, it's I'm going to get through this lane. And I guess a lot of people don't like that playstyle. A lot of people would think I don't like that playstyle, but when you actually kind of know my champion pool, a lot of my champions are like that. I am more of a late game player than an early game player. Everybody at home right now, just kind of think to yourself, what is my strength as a player? Is your strength lane phase? You always get yourself ahead, but then you just don't know how to finish games. Where I tend to be the opposite. My lane phase is probably the weakest part of my game. Even when I'm jungling, my early game is probably my weakest. But then late game, I know what I'm doing. Late game, I'm like, okay, go here, here, here. And I can make good decisions, and that's a very strong point of my game. Anyway, Syndra has hit, I believe, level 6. Again, I will apologise if sometimes I get things wrong in these commentaries. My eyes do deceive me a little bit. And I will say I was recording this game late at night. And I will just say it was difficult. And I've definitely learned a lesson to not record late at night right now. Again, I'm saying it a lot every episode just to remind you guys, because not everybody watches every video. I recently had laser eye surgery, and I had to have the one that takes a while for it to get to good vision. I don't have perfect vision right now, and I would just say I'm not going to play at late night again, because it's just too difficult. I don't know why I put myself at that disadvantage, because like I say to you guys, my old saying, don't put yourself at an unnecessary disadvantage before the game begins. So I am level 6, and now as a Karthus, what are you wanting to do? Well, it's much of the same thing, you know, staying in lane. You don't really roam as Karthus. You can, and I have in the past, but he's not a massive roaming champion. But it's mainly surviving and then looking for ult opportunities and being clever with them. Is that whenever you have ult, and unfortunately another gang's coming through, she misses the stun, I go for the flash, and I'm like, I'm alive, right? No, unfortunately I will go down. I tried to go for the kill on the Evelynn, but she managed to get out. So I guess that's just the strength of Evelynn. Syndra got an ultimate on me, I was dead. Maybe if I exhausted the Syndra, I don't know if she was in range, but maybe that would have been better. But there I go down again to another gank. And this is the point I will say you shouldn't get too frustrated with yourself. Is I could always play better. These 2 deaths that I've had are definitely avoidable. I didn't need to die for these if I was playing better and smarter. But whenever you die, if you're only dying to jungle ganks, don't be too disappointed with yourself. 1v1 deaths are most likely the biggest mistake any LoL player can make. If you died in a 1v1, you have 100% made a mistake. But if you die into a jungle gank, sometimes you're dead. Like in that situation, maybe I could have exhausted the Syndra, maybe that would have made me survive, and then who knows, I might have been able to kill the Evelynn, but it was unlikely that I was going to survive that. I'm not going to beat myself up about it, because there's very little I could have done. And what I mean by that, don't blow that out of proportion. It doesn't mean if you're 0 and 10 and you're only getting killed by ganks, yeah, you're obviously doing something wrong. You do need to adjust. Now, unfortunately, I obviously do ping missing, but the Yi is getting a little bit beat right now by just people finding him, and you can see in chase, again, warded. They just have pressure. Like, the Evelyn's got jungle pressure, the Syndra's got pressure over me because, well, she can. She goes for the flash, and again, I don't want to BM at all, but I don't think this is the greatest Syndra, like, mechanically. I don't think she's that good. I think just, like, you can see in her name has Janna. She's actually a support main. I think it's a support main that got given mid and was like, Syndra's open. I'm just going to play Syndra because she's the strongest champion. And then combine that with Evelyn helping her. Yeah, that's the best idea to do. And I will say that's a smart thing from the Evelyn. If you notice that someone on your team, the example is called Riven Master 24, but then is given AD carry, it's sometimes a good idea to help that person because they may have got autofilled. They may not be incredibly comfortable in the role that they've been given, but if you get them ahead, well, it's a lot easier to play from ahead than behind. So that's also a smart thing from the Evelyn, is helping the mid lane. Maybe she did it because she noticed that it's a Janna player, or maybe she noticed because it's just a Karthus, who knows. But it is a smart idea. But the game is not over by any means. Like, they are obviously a little bit, I think, ahead at this stage. I think the kills are 6-2. It is. But we do have a good late game. Like, when you look at our late game, it's a Karthus, it's a Vayne, and it's a Master Yi with a Poppy tank. Like, that is a strong combination of late game. 2 or 3 hyper carries, technically. But we just have to survive. We just have to get there. The enemy team, that's a great shutdown by the Poppy on the Evelyn. She will go down to the dive. Unfortunately, I don't have ultimate, and again, that's a bit of a bummer. But we just got to get there. And sometimes, I've mentioned it a few times, playing like a wimp is not the worst thing. I know so many, and again, I don't... Some people think I always try to have a go at low rating people. I really don't. If I was having a go at low rating people, I don't think I'd be this big on YouTube. I try to be objective, and we're going for a little gank on the Syndra. I try to be objective and just state facts. Going for a kill on her, we do manage to get it, but Jax TPs. G's going to get out with his ultimate, and now I'm left going, hey, Jax, how are you doing, buddy? So I will go down to the Jax, unfortunately, but it's kind of worth it. I did get a kill from the Syndra, and it does start me snowballing, or at least start me getting some strength. But yeah, I'm not having a go at low rating people, so please never think I'm doing that. I'm just stating facts. Again, remember, I used to be low rating myself, so it's not like I've been high rating my whole LoL career. And what I'd say is so many low rating people love to play aggressive. Like, they just love it. They want kills, kills, kills. Sometimes sitting back, not going for kills. Unfortunately, Jax does find the Yi in our jungle, which is a little bit weird. But sometimes just going for farm, going and like looking at your team comp, going, we could do well in late game, and playing basic, playing safe is the best way to play. It's not always about aggression. It's sometimes about just playing smart. Unfortunately, again, in then the bot lane, the Varus ult into, I think, the Soraka silence, and then the Evelyn causes her to die. So you'll notice that the enemy team definitely has pressure advantage, that the Jax randomly is running into our jungle, finding the Master Yi. The Evelyn's getting a good gank off bot lane, manages to get to 1 kill there, and then obviously she's had some pressure in mid lane. So they definitely have the pressure advantage right now, and this leads back to the point of just play safe and play smart, and maybe we need more vision on the actual jungle camps themselves. If you look on the enemy in the minimap, we do not have a single ward on the minimap, or on any of Evelyn's camps, sorry. And that's how you counter an Evelyn. You see when she unstealths, when she's actually doing a jungle camp. So that's maybe a small mistake by us. We will go for bot lane. I am actually roaming as a Karthus at this point, going for the Soraka. I do take the shortcut to try and get there a little bit quicker. I will go for the Soraka, use my E. Unfortunately, I don't get it because of red buff. Master Yi is surviving a lot longer than I actually thought he was going to, and I make the big mistake of not going for the Q on the Varus so he doesn't die. We'll get the kill from Syndra, take the Lantern from Thresh, and I managed to survive, and Vayne should pick up a kill. So that kill, or the non-kill on Varus, was most likely my bad. Evelyn uses flash, does go down. I should have more focused on queuing the Varus. I thought he was just dead by E. But what you'll also notice, if you were paying attention to that fight, I exhausted the Syndra before she ulted, and that's my point. That's why I take exhaust, is because it didn't kill me. If I didn't exhaust, I was 100% dead. I don't even think she used Q or anything. I literally think she teleported in and pressed R, so it didn't do a lot of damage with the exhaust, which kind of saved my life. And then she goes down. So that's a nice turn. That gives us a little bit of momentum there in the bot lane, and as well for myself. And it's always a good thing when you make a roam happen and it goes well. Like, it's a great feeling. Like, a few episodes ago, if you guys remember, there was a Katarina versus a Syndra, and the Katarina roamed at like level 3 or level 4 into the bot lane, and she got killed for it. Roaming can set you very far behind, but if it goes well, it can basically win you the game, and that's the risk of roaming. Because if you roam and it goes bad, well, you're missing farm, and then you're giving your opponents kills, I presume. But if it goes well, then you're denying them farm and also killing them. And then also, I would say roaming has a mentality thing attached to it. Is if your mid laner's roaming and doing well, you can guarantee the enemy team is going, guy, mid lane, roam. You know, the enemy mid lane is always roaming. Come on. It's part of the mentality of League. You know, this game is very mechanical, but it's also mental. So moving forward into the game, we are kind of approaching what I'd probably call mid-game, in the fact that everybody is kind of having a little bit looser lane phases, so the mid lane is opening up a little bit. Syndra and me may roam a little bit more. Top lanes could look for more teleports, obviously Jax did earlier, and then bot lanes, this is the time that you might look for dragons after getting a kill or two. So yeah, mid-game is on its way, and again, we want to get to the late game, try to get there, because again, our strength is ridiculous. Like, if we manage to get there, it's very hard to lose this game. I will go for the blue buff because it's obviously really good on Karthus, and I'm kind of And the bot lane was doing the crab. They got the crab. I'm going to take the regen plant and then head my way back to mid lane. We don't want them to auto-rotate and just get the tower for free. So I will take the ward and eventually take the lantern. There we go. Constantly have hiccups when I do commentaries right now. It's probably because I'm not used to doing them after a while. But that's okay. So it did look like the enemy team was looking to rotate for the mid tower, but they stop it for some reason. Like, I don't exactly know what that move was. I noticed, I think Evelyn was in that bush. Like, really, like a brief second, I was like, is that Evelyn clearing a ward? So I just leave, and I'm like, I ping it, because just in case. But right now, Poppy's doing okay, and like I mentioned to you guys, Poppy is not a champion that wins lane. She's a champion that goes even, or even loses a little bit, but then will be amazing in late game team fights. Like, again, the whole point, I'm going to go for an ultimate right now in the bot lane, see what we can do. Unfortunately, and again, this Master Yi did have a tendency to play very greedy, in the fact that was 100% a dead Soraka with my ultimate, and again, I don't really care if I get kills, but it was 100% a dead Soraka, but because the Master Yi just wanted the kill and didn't care about my ultimate, he went for the kill and actually got killed because of it. He could have started running away, survived, and then given me the kill, but he's just playing a little bit too greedy. Unfortunately, my team do run the wrong way up river when they probably could have ran just back through lane and went to their tower for safety. They do get caught by the Evelyn and then eventually the Syndra. So that's just a little bit of a lame situation. Jax, again, does go for a teleport, which is interesting. I'm going to try and just do as much as I can to stop him. Do use the exhaust. He does use flash, so he's now used teleport and flash. They're going a little bit aggressive on me, and this is, I think in a second, going to be a little bit like a sigh or like a moment, because I think I survive. Spoilers, very low health, and here we go. So she does go for everything. You'll notice her ultimate doesn't do that much, and I survive, I think, with around 10 health, and I'm still alive, and at this point, I'm like, I'm alive. So that was kind of cool. Yi again goes all in and just gets killed. He tried to go in 3v1. So yeah, the Yi did do some questionable things this game. But we do definitely, as I say in the bottom left, we need to control Jax. And the reason why I'm pointing out the Jax is because he's a top laner. Whenever a top laner is getting control of the whole map, you know there's a problem. You know that we do not have anything going on in our top lane, because if we did, he wouldn't be allowed to roam. So that's why I just typed it. We just need to control him. That's not a dig at the Poppy. That's just maybe opening her eyes going, yeah, okay, maybe I should look for teleports myself, or maybe I should just look crazy for the top tower. Just something. Because if we don't control the Jax, this game can potentially snowball. Like I mentioned to you guys, is we have a very strong late game, but they also have a Jax. So it's not like they're bad in the late game. They do have a hyper carry themselves, or kind of two. I wouldn't really count Varus as a hyper carry because I don't think he can kill all 5 people. But I would say Jax is a hyper carry, and I would say Syndra is kind of a hyper carry in their own respective rights. Anyway, returning to the mid lane, and I've got to be careful of the Syndra at this point. She will kill me in a 1v1 if I'm not careful, because it's kind of mid game now, and her damage is obviously going up every single minute of the game. They are going to go for the Jax. They do get the shutdown, so that's a nice kill. Every single time that they actually do manage to get a kill or a shutdown, it's getting us closer to that late game point that was going to start doing okay. Now, I completely blank out here, and this is one of the big mistakes that I made this game, was I was like so worried about Syndra roaming all the time, because I don't know, I was just really worried that I was like, she's going top lane. Oh no, she's still in mid and she killed me. So that again was a massive mistake, and this is what I'll say to you guys is play League when you're actually feeling good. And this was the mistake that I mentioned earlier, is my eyes were very fuzzy at the moment. I hate making excuses, but play when you're feeling good. Don't play when you're feeling ill. Don't play if you're really tired. Don't play when your eyes are tired after laser eye surgery. It's generally a bad idea, and you're probably not going to pay full attention to the game. You can still play well when you're feeling bad, but the risk of playing a little bit iffy is there. So that's what I'd say. So just be careful with that. So we are going to just clear the mini waves. Marcy was a little bit confused why Thresh was like pinging. I think they potentially could have engaged there. Jax is now in the bot lane. Vayne does overstay for the tower. See what Vayne can do. I am at this stage, I was thinking like Vayne's dead. I'm going to go for the ultimate just to see if I can help her. But unfortunately, the Jax gets in range to Q her, and she does go down. So again, we just don't have a lot of control over this Jax right now. But saying that, we don't really have a lot of control over the game. The Evelynn and the Soraka do stay in the top tower to get the top tower. Yi is going to continue going for aggression here, gets one kill, and this call I do get an assist from my ultimate. Unfortunately, I don't get the assist for the Evelynn, but that's good. A double kill for the Master Yi. Again, I don't rate Master Yi amazingly well in high rating. I'm going to go for the aggressive flash play, and he managed to flash out himself. But yeah, I don't rate Yi amazingly well for high rating, because if you just CC him, he doesn't really do anything. And I know some people will throw certain examples in my face. I know they exist, obviously. Like, you can do well with any champion. I'm just saying the easiest climb is probably not Master Yi. But you do want to fed Master Yi. And that's one thing to say. Even though I don't rate the champion, I still want him to be really fed, because he can carry if he's not CC'd. If he's, like this enemy team, if they don't Jax E him, if they don't Syndra stun him, if they just kind of leave him alone, he'll kill everything. And the same goes for champions like Tryndamere and stuff like that. Is that if they're CC'd, yeah, they don't really do anything. But if they're not, they're going to wreck people. And that's generally why these champions are more known to be lower rated champions. Because in lower rating, people may not react quick enough to stop them. And that's why a lot of low rating people, again, I'm not having a dig, is, oh, Master Yi's OP, yeah, stop Huz, you know, you're talking rubbish, he's OP. Maybe in lower rating, but not in high rating, because everybody knows what Master Yi does and how to stop him. Oh, I'm Syndra, there's a Master Yi, I'm gonna focus my stun on him, and then ult him. Boom, he's dead. Like, that's what you have to do. Anyway, the game is moving on. And again, as I mentioned earlier, every single minute that this game ticks, it's a good thing for us. And I'm getting a little bit more confident, even though like, I'm negative. I'm 2-4-2 right now. Even though I'm negative KD, I'm still getting happy the later this game goes. Thresh is going to come over for a little gank, but unfortunately do hit him away with the knockback, and they do manage to get out, so unfortunately we don't get anything there. But it's good we're looking for opportunities at least. You know, opportunities is what wins games. So we just got to keep going for it. Unfortunately, Thresh gets stunned over the wall and just gets completely obliterated. Master Yi ults, I'm like, nope, don't do that, my friend. But yeah, that must have been warded, because that was just a clean Syndra stun into like their damage. I think it was a Varus Q, and then Soraka got the kill with Q or E. So yeah, it was a nice play by them, but it just means that they have pressure around our jungle, because it must be warded. They are going to go for an all-in play on here. One mistake that I made, I probably should have put my E on a little bit quicker. I am going to stay around trying to do as much as I can. Unfortunately, I don't have ultimate, but I am in range just to do a bit of damage. I am pinging my team. Hey, there's a Jax there. Maybe the Poppy should have gone over a little bit quicker. She did take a while to get there, but we just get completely obliterated this team fight. It was a good engage by them hitting me with the Varus ultimate, and then I think I got Soraka silenced if I'm not mistaken, so that was a little bit hard to deal with, and obviously that's not great. But I will say, what I'm pointing out here is I didn't have ultimate at the time. If I had ultimate, maybe that fight could have been a bit different. You know, he wouldn't have killed Jax, he was like full health, and they are going to go for a dive on the Thresh because they're just that confident right now, and the Jax is, yeah, doing a lot of damage combining with the Evelynn, and then they've got the heals from Soraka. So it's just a recipe for disaster for us right now. Poppy does flank, and I'm like, okay. I'm thinking, can I kill Jax? You know, are we going to go for him? I do get killed yet again straight away, but this time I do have ult, so at least I can ult the enemy team. I pick up the kill on Soraka, and this is a point that we should be going crazy all in right now. 1 kill on the Syndra. They should continue. Vayne should be running. At the moment, she's doing a bit of last hitting, I think, or was doing last hitting. So a small mistake by the Vayne. She should have been running a little bit quicker to get to the fight. Then the fight resumes, and then unfortunately, the Varus does out-damage the Vayne. So maybe if the Vayne came a little bit quicker instead of stopping, because it did look like she stopped in the minimap, maybe we could have gone for that and maybe done okay. But yeah, this game's hard. You know, the Jax has gone full damage. Again, earlier in the game, he dove the Poppy at level 4, so obviously he's been playing quite well, and then he roamed and got that pressure. I'm not saying that the Jax won the enemy team the whole game so far, but it's a contributing factor that you can't deny, is that when a top laner, like the Renekton episode, when a top laner is winning, top laners are crazy good. Like, sometimes you do feel like you're on an island in top lane, that you're like, I can't do anything, but if you do well as a top laner, you're a massive tanky champion that if you're playing something like Jax or Renekton, you're tanky and you do damage, and then they can't stop you. It's a recipe for winning games, is all I gotta say. Gonna just keep farming. As you can see in the bottom left, Vayne is actually saying, I don't know what she's saying she just needs, but we just need to reach late game is what I would say she would say, is that when you look at the team comp breakdown, is yes, they've still got a good late game, but I'd say ours is slightly ahead. When it comes to damage outputs, again, Vayne did just get out-damaged by a Varus, but in actual late game, a Vayne shouldn't lose to a Varus, especially if she finds him in a 1v1, or in a general team fight, you would think a Vayne would be out-damaging if she has good positioning. And then a Karthus, again, I can damage 5 people, where the Syndra can only damage 1. A Master Yi is very similar, I'd say, towards a Jax, that they kind of do the same damaging and stuff like that, but Jax has CC. You can see he is overextending a little bit. While this is going on, though, the enemy team are in our base. And notice how Jax isn't dead. Yeah, he didn't die. I think Soraka got there in time, or she ulted, and then eventually she just got healed. Poppy continued going for it, and then she did go down. So yeah, it was unfortunate. Poppy does say in chat that E was questionable. I think what happened, and I get engaged on by the Varus, what I think what happened, I didn't Zhonya's quick enough, is that Vayne E'd the Jax away. I will pick up the kill on the Varus, but again, just me not really paying attention this game, and again, I don't want to blame everything on my eyes. I wasn't playing well in general, but there, I just didn't notice, and I just didn't even Zhonya's when I could have. So the enemy team is going to be looking to finish the game. Overall, or so far, it's been a little bit disappointing, let's be honest. Like, I haven't played very well. Karthus is one of my favorite champions, but when you actually add up what's happened this game, it's been kind of bad thing after bad thing after bad thing. We haven't had many good things happen, and when more bad things happen in game than good, you're gonna lose the game. That's kind of how it works. The one good thing that we did have going for us was that bot lane gank that I did, and we turned it around and managed to get more kills than what they did on us. That was a good thing. But again, we haven't had much from then, because like now, Poppy's overextending, she gets killed again. So, yeah, my team is giving up, and I will say, again, whenever you've got an amazing late game team, please don't give up that easy. And I say in chat, we can still win, and you can see the ... It's because I'm frustrated, and then as soon as my team say, I don't think so, they're muted, like, they're gone. Because if you are giving up that easily off when your team comp is an amazing late game team comp, and again, if you're not exactly sure what late game is, my point is these players should know what late game is. These guys were high rating last season. They know our team comp is good late game. As soon as you say, I don't think so in chat, why are you playing ranked? Like, I don't mind surrendering. If the game is truly over, I will surrender. But when you break down these team comps, we're stronger in late game. But it's also another thing just to say, oh, I don't think we're going to win in chat. Like, even if you think you're going to lose, please restrain from saying it in chat. If you think you're going to lose, throw a surrender vote out. Don't just say stuff in chat, because to me, it's just like, okay, they've given up. Now, unfortunately, the enemy team get Baron, and Master Yi, yeah, he did truly give up because he's bot lane. Whenever a jungler is the other side of the map around 25-30 minutes, they have given up, you know, especially if they're already saying it in chat. And again, that is very frustrating for me, because these are placement games. They're very highly stressful. Again, the most toxic times of League of Legends is the beginning of the season and the end of the season. The beginning of the season because everybody wants to do well in the beginning, everybody wants good placement games, and then the end because everybody wants to achieve the rank that they haven't achieved yet. and they're stressful. I want to do well in placements, but then when people just give up, it is one of the things that kind of tilts me or annoys me. It's never going to cause me to rage because I just don't have that in me, but it is annoying. So anyway, my build, I will say also this game was a little bit questionable. Again, I just wasn't thinking straight. I don't know why Poppy stayed in this bush, by the way. I have no idea what she's doing. But my build, I was going for a Riley, and then I completely forgot that Riley got a change in item build, that it no longer builds out of giants or a needlessly large. So I do have a needlessly large spare right now, but it will build into something eventually, so it's not a waste. Unfortunately, Master Yi does get 1v1. I do get a little bit CC'd by the Varus, but I do get out. That's happened a couple of times. And again, I will say this game kind of sucked, and it sucks for a couple reasons. And I will say one of the reasons was me. I played bad. So I will take responsibility. I'm not somebody to shift the blame completely. A lot of people in League do. I definitely could have played better. You know, my score isn't great, which shows I could have played better. But yeah, it just was bad thing after bad thing. We just didn't have many good things happen. But what could have been different in this game, because I know a lot of people like me to talk about what could have been different. If we were a little bit more careful in the early game, I would say, you know, when Yi got caught in the enemy jungle, these little kills, they don't seem like a lot. We're going to go for an engage right now. These don't seem like a lot, but in the early game, they add up. Now, I am going to just go all in here, because I'm like, what the hell, may as well. I've got ultimate, going to go for an ult, like, try to do something. Going to try and kill the Varus. He does use the heal and survive, unfortunately. They're going to try and kill the Jax with the Master Yi. Poppy is for some reason there, don't know why, and Master Yi is going to continue while trying to meditate, doing a little bit of healing. Heal comes down, I think it looked like heal, and unfortunately, yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, again, it was unfortunate. What you can learn from this game is just be very careful in the early game, and also I'd say keep control. If you're a laner, try to keep control of your laner. So what you'll notice as a Karthus in this game, I kept the Syndra pretty much on me the whole game. And yes, I died a few times in a 1v1, which is bad, but she didn't really roam. The only time she roamed was 1 in top lane, which is 1, and 2 when I went down to bot lane, so it's not that bad. But Jax definitely had a lot of pressure. But anyway, let's go to the outro where I will be talking when right after I played the game. Okay, so it is now after the game. I just finished playing. Again, a disappointing game. And I made a lot of mistakes, and I definitely have learned something today. Again, I don't want to make excuses, but my eyes, I'm currently recording this about 9 o'clock at night. I'm not going to record or play ranked at this time. My eyes are struggling to focus at the moment, so that might have led to me just decision making a little bit bad. But that aside, I think people just kind of gave up, and we just didn't work as a team whatsoever. We didn't 5-man team fight, I don't think, once. And then people gave up very easily. It was like, nah, they've won. Done. And it's like, that's not the attitude that you'd probably want to have when you have a Karthus, Master Yi, and a Vayne on your team. So that was kind of a bit of a bummer. I would say the Evelynn was pretty much the MVP for the enemy team. In the fact that she did some good ganks in the mid lane. I actually got surprised by one gank that I was like, I'll just flash away, I'll be fine. And they continued going for the tower dive on me. I was like, oh, okay. So she played well. She definitely beat me in lane. The Syndra did okay. I went aggressive for the first blood, but then Evelynn showed up. Yeah, no, I'm just a bit disappointed with how easily people gave up. And yeah, with this type of team comp, you'd think would be okay. But then also, I will say, the damage that the Varus was outputting, at one stage I was like, Rage Blade? What? And he was doing more damage than our Vayne. And I was like, wow, okay, so that's not a troll build. So yeah, overall, just disappointing. Definitely, I'm not going to say we could have won the game. Well, technically you can win any game of League. I definitely could have played better. I know I'm not going to play it this time of night. Again, there were several times that I was just like, what's going on right now? Because if this was a live commentary, you guys would have seen that I was a little bit out of it. But if you do look at the damage, we did go 4-8-4. So again, disappointing score. Damage-wise, though, I did do the second most in the game. The Jax did the most in total, then myself. And then, yeah, you get pretty much the rest of the story of how they won and we lost, in the fact that they have 3 people that did very similar damage, and all these 3 people beat the rest of my team. So when you're just doing more damage on average, yeah, we were bound to lose. So that just kind of shows you the story of the game right there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed nonetheless. That is episode 4, so we'll do one more game in this format, which will be episode 5, and then we'll go back to the live commentary. So if you guys are enjoying the series so far, so placement games wise, that makes us 2 wins and 2 losses. That's fine. Throw a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.